Hello everybody, this is Tech Hut, and in this video what we're going to be doing is going over the new and improved Linux Mint 20. Now Linux Mint has been one of the most popular Linux distributions ever since I knew what Linux was. And this is for good reason. The whole reason I got into Linux is because Linux Mint was one of the best ways to go if you're switching from Windows. The user interface is familiar and everything just works. Now onto Linux 20, this is a LTS release, meaning as long-term support until the year 2025, and it was made available to download for everybody about a week ago, and it is packed with some new features and greatly appreciated improvements. So what we're going to do is get onto the computer and go over a quick bullet point boom overview of every single new feature and most of the improvements. So let's get to it. We will start out with some of the simple changes and additions and then work on to some of the big improvements. First, some of the visual additions. There's a new vibrant version of the Mint Y Aqua theme. They balance some of the colors and contrast levels, so overall it just gives it a more clean look. Yellow folders have been added, if that is your cup of tea. And something that's good for the new user is they're actually giving you some theme customizations right out of the box on the welcome screen. When you first turn on your system, you could go down to the tab that has these options, and Mint will ask you what your favorite color is and then give you the option for a dark and light theme. Picking this favorite color will change the folder colors as well as some other colors around the system. In addition, there is a new collection of wallpapers that is provided with Linux Mint. If I were to go with one of these new wallpapers, it would probably be the small city wallpaper, but they're all absolutely beautiful. Another visual improvement is through GDebi, if I'm saying that right. It is the software used to open and install .deb files, and this was just given a nice cleaner user interface. And another one is the lock screen now supports stretching backgrounds across multiple monitors. Now getting on to some of the improvements with Cinnamon, including some big performance boosts within the Nemo file manager. You'll notice that file directories open much faster as priority was given to loading that over loading some of the thumbnails within folders. This performance increase is noticeable on all systems, but is especially noticeable if you're running off of a spinning disk drive. Cinnamon 4.6 now also features fractional scaling, a feature that is useful if you're running off of a smaller screen with a high pixel density. This will allow the system UI to be zoomed into your preference without having to lower your display resolution, thus making things bigger and easier to see without jeopardizing some of the quality of the display. Now visually, obviously including Cinnamon, all the other Linux additions had the system tray cleaned up, giving the icons a more clean and consistent look. In Linux Mint 20, there is now improved support for Nvidia Optimus, including a Nvidia Prime applet that lets you easily choose if you want to use Nvidia or your system's integrated graphics at any given moment. You can now also launch applications with Nvidia on demand by right-clicking on an application in the menu and selecting Run with Nvidia GPU. Now the largest addition to Linux Mint 20 is the addition of Warpinator. Back a long time ago, Linux Mint came out with a little tool called Giver. This was a way to send files to other computers on your network that were running the software by simply dragging the file to their photo or icon shown in the application. It was beautiful because you didn't need to get a USB and transfer things in between computers, and you didn't have to configure a server, and there was no tricky setup. Unfortunately, this software was discontinued, but now it is back and better than ever. Sending and receiving files with Warpinator is as simple and straightforward as Giver, but with a much better UI. I will note that according to the Linux Mint team, Warpinator is a temporary name until they can think of something better. Now those are just some of the highlights. There are a lot more changes within Linux Mint 20, and some of them including now ABT recommends are enabled by default for newly installed packages. Snapped is disabled by default, and APT packages will not be allowed to install it. Also, live sessions running under VirtualBox will automatically get their resolution bumped to a minimum of 1024 by 768. There are a wide improvements made to XApp as well. To see a full list of these improvements and everything else I mentioned in this video, there will be a link below that will take you to the official feature list on the Linux Mint website. And that is about it. Up there in the top corner, there is a video on the top 10 Linux applications. I would highly suggest you go check that out. Go ahead and go down below and leave a comment telling me what you like about Linux 20. And maybe if you're not running Linux 20, tell me what distro you're running so I could go ahead and check it out. I upload content like this quite frequently, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and I will see you in the next one.